Tech and clips.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Philip and this is Philip and Easy Reacts. Today we are back with another video reaction, and today is one of those days we are going to do something a little bit different. Now, I mean, I've been reacting to Journey music, for as long as I can remember, ever since I started this channel. Like, at least every week I try to have like 2 or 3 Journey reactions on the channel, right? Now, according to my last Journey reaction, I think it was a Steve Perry song reaction. I had a subscriber on the channel, comment down below asking me to react to a documentary. I've never seen a documentary. I didn't even know a documentary like that existed. He said I should react to Behind the Music Journey, documentary. At first I was like, okay, but then I had a whole lot of pending reactions to do, so I was like, okay, let me just hold on this for a while. Like, as I kept posting the same subscriber, like, you could see he was anticipation that video be uploaded. So I was like, no, okay, let me see what this video is all about. I've never watched it, so I searched on about it on YouTube, and I found quite a number of links, but this particular one that I saw apparently is the director's cut, so I'm assuming this one would have all the the behind the scenes, all the footages, that's like the whole shebang, the whole package, so because this one is a little bit longer. It's like an hour and 6 minutes. The ones that I saw were like 45 minutes, 40 minutes, so I'm assuming this one has the whole package. So today we are going to react to it. I'm gonna watch the documentary and see what it's all about. If you're new on here, please like and subscribe to the channel. As always, join the family. All love up in here, no negativity. Without wasting much time, this is Behind the Music Journey, the director's cut. Let's go. Okay, Behind the Music director's cut, original. Okay, this was 2001. Wow, okay. Okay, let's go.
For a decade, theirs was one of rock's greatest mysteries, until Behind the Music unraveled the story of their disappearance and resurrection.
Okay.
It was very happy times, man, and it was times they wanted to kill each other.
Already?
Now, VH1 presents a special expanded edition of the Journey episode.
Oh, okay.
Complete with previously unreleased footage and stories of the group's rise and ruination.
That's sad. Ruination.
Everybody just seemed to be pulling apart. There was so much struggle.
That was very painful, and I took it pretty hard.
But before the turmoil, Journey scored the soundtrack to countless crushes and took a generation of fans on a rhythmic ride of heartfelt emotion.
See, it was just hysteria.
There was this enduring emotionalism in Journey's relationship with their audience.
They knew the lyrics and sang along.
Journey flew to the top on the soaring voice of Steve Perry. The band band perfected ballads and bombast, selling nearly 70 million records. But then their frontman found the grip of fame too tight to bear.
I told him I just don't think I can do it anymore. I think I just want to stop.
The joke was, Elvis has left the building. There's no more Steve.
He would just sort of tune out and walk away, and I'm going, hello?
I never really felt like I was part of the band. I know,
Really?
I know that's
Are you
difficult
serious?
to see, but I really always felt that
Okay,
I was
that's
the
young
outside
Steve.
guy.
Outside guy, really.
Without warning, the band disappeared from view, leaving fans wondering if Journey had reached its end.
People wanted an easy answer to a question that was hard, and there was no easy answer for it.
The band was missing for nearly a decade when the world learned Journey was ready to return.
Ooh.
But prospects for their spectacular comeback vanished in an instant.
All of a sudden, I started having acute pain in my left side, and I
Oh, okay.
didn't think I was going to make it off the mountain.
He phoned me and said, I've never been in this much pain in my life.
Now, a special edition of one of Behind the Music's most celebrated episodes, with new twists,
I had to cut bait in order to relieve a federal tax debt.
turns,
I said, we're going to do this. Know that. I'm not going to do it behind your back.
and previously untold tales.
I think what I was looked at was a defiant one.
Journey, a special director's cut edition of Behind the Music.
Come on, buddy. Step on back.
Okay, I thought it had already started, but obviously the first 4 minutes 10 seconds was just like I think the prologue, bits and pieces of what's like what the whole documentary is all about. So yeah, and this is VH1. I think it's a television network, and Behind the Music. I think this is a program on the channel that they look into, artists and then bands talk about their history and whatever. That's just my my suggestion. But yeah, looks like we are now about to go deep into the documentary. Whew, we are already 4 minutes 10 seconds in, and I just can't wait without wasting much time. Let's go.
It may be the best known rock ballad ever written.
Okay.
A backdrop for decades of long dances and slow kisses.
I had no idea that Open Arms would become so personal to people's hearts. I just knew that this was a classic, beautiful melody.
Wow.
Singer Steve Perry made Open Arms a monster hit with Journey in 1981.
Yep.
But he
Facts.
hasn't performed the song with the band in over 15 years.
Who is that?
Now the song is being sung by a different Steve. New Journey frontman Steve Augeri.
Are you
recruited
serious?
after Steve Perry withdrew from public view.
Oh man.
It was frightening going out on stage, and it was scary being compared to one of the greatest rock and roll vocalists
Of course.
in rock
Of
and roll
course.
history.
Of course.
For Steve Perry, it is a troubling end to his long voyage with Journey. Perry says he misses performing.
It is something that crosses my mind, I don't know how many times a day. And it's something that I try to think about and at the same time not think about. It's a very difficult thing because it is something I love doing.
Perry's former bandmates say that after years of waiting for Steve to return to performing, they ran out of patience. They had to move on.
The hardest thing was to call Steve Perry and say, we're going to go forward with this. And he's like, well, there's no coming back. And I said,
Whoa.
I know that.
After a decade at the pinnacle and another in purgatory, Steve Perry and Journey have finally fractured apart.
People change, you know. That's all I can say. I changed, he changed, we all
Okay,
changed.
Neil.
Change has been a constant during Journey's 3 decades of existence. The only permanent player has been co-founder Neil Schon,
Okay.
a Bay Area native who was captivated by music before he was even in his teens.
I used to
Wow.
have this little turntable in my bedroom, and I had like 3 or 4 records that I'd play every night. Cream, Hendrix, Cream. I'd go to sleep listening to this stuff all night long.
By the spring of '68, Neil was a 14-year-old budding guitar maestro, a familiar face at Bay Area studios. He soon began jamming with Greg Raleigh, singer and keyboardist for the Latin fusion supergroup Santana.
I used to go pick him up from high school
Okay, Greg Raleigh.
because he really wasn't going to high school. He was there, but he wasn't going to high school.
He'd come up, I'd split with him, and we'd go play music.
Impressed by his young friend's wicked guitar licks, Greg helped Neil make a demo tape, then passed it along to Santana road manager Herbie Herbert.
I heard this demo tape. It would
wow.
bore me today. He was only 15 years old. It would still wreck me that a kid could play that at that level of expression. And you got to get that kid to come and hang around. I got to meet this kid.
Herbie was quickly taken with the young guitarist, and so was Carlos Santana, who asked Neil to join his group in the summer of '69. So at just 15 years old, Neil left high school and embarked on a life of rock and roll.
I just thought it was part of the norm at that time. I don't know. I look back at it now and I realize that it was a pretty amazing time period in my life. And it just freaks me out every time I see an old Santana video. I look at myself and I'm like, I'm a baby, basically.
By May of '72, Sean and Raleigh had tired of the Santana sound, and so had road manager Herbie Herbert. Herbie decided to build a new band, putting the spotlight on Greg's creative keyboard playing and Neil's stunning axe work.
Neil was, I thought, the quintessential guitar expressionist of the time. We wanted to say, hey, there's something sophisticated that can go on with music. Music can really take you somewhere.
The band had no interest in pumping out pop. Instead, they indulged themselves with lengthy solos. Their style wasn't radio-friendly, and neither was their name, the Golden Gate Rhythm Section.
So we decided to do a radio.
Ross Valerie, okay.
The fans to write in and give us their thoughts on what the band should be named.
And they came up with some of the most horrendous names. Hippopotamus, Rumpled Foreskin.
Appalled, the band turned to their entourage. A member of their road crew finally came up with a name that stuck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Pride of the West, Journey!
Oh, okay. Okay, so from what I understand from the story, Neil Schon is the co-founder of Journey. Wow. So I mean, he was there right from the very start. And to think that he's been playing guitar since he was 14, you know, young teenage boy, you know, flunking school just to go play music with, you know, Carlos Santana. Wow, I mean, Carlos Santana is one of like the greatest guitar players, you know, in the world. So for Neil to have, you know, learned from him explains why he's so good at it. Anyway, let's go.
The fledgling group signed a deal with CBS Records.
Okay.
And between 1974 and 1977, Journey released 3 albums and built a rep as a powerful live act with driving progressive rock and roll.
Okay.
It was more jazzy than rock. The music was just wonderful. I mean, it was just one of those things you listen to and you go, okay,
Okay.
I want to be part of this.
Dumber.
But a hardcore cult following wasn't adding up to album sales. And by 1977, CBS Records was running out of patience with Journey.
CBS said if we don't sell X amount of copies of the next album, they were going to just drop us.
They wanted a front man, someone that could get us on the radio, because they couldn't get us on the radio.
Okay.
Manager Herbie Herbert told the group they needed to leave their solos behind and find a singer to lead Journey on a hit parade.
Okay, so I mean, after Neil played with Carlos, after some time he left and then formed his own band. But apparently they were just doing solos, just beats, guitar solos and stuff. I think they were not really called Journey at the time, so eventually they had to let the fans decide on a name for the band. But apparently the names they came up with was not really cutting it. So I think from what the documentary, their road manager came out with the name Journey, and then it stuck. They signed a record label, but apparently they were not really making the album sales. And you know how these record labels, they roll. Once they invest in you, they want to make profit. So I think they released 3 albums which they didn't really do well because they stuck to playing guitars, drums, and nothing really going on. So I think they give the band an ultimatum: if they are not able to sell such and such number of copies in their next album, they're gonna have to let them go. So yeah, okay.
I wasn't certain that I was gonna like it, to be completely honest. And there's still things that I don't like about it. But this is how I make my living, and I need to pay the bills.
Okay.
Herbie's first choice for a lead singer was a young Denver crooner named Robert Fleischman.
Okay.
The group hit the stage with their fresh frontman in the summer of '77. But the fans didn't buy Journey's new direction.
Robert came out to sing a few songs with us, and the audience was like, "What's up with this, man?" We did have like a die-hard following with a lot of our fans, and they only wanted to know about that original Journey, and that was it.
But the original Journey could not survive without a dynamic frontman. Their road was about to come to an end. Next, Herbie and the band butt heads over a new lead singer.
Okay, I'm thinking that's when Steve Perry came into the picture.
I told him Steve Perry's going to be in his band. Get used to it.
And later, Journey's road leads them to the top.
It's the most magical thing that ever happened. But it comes with a price. And the price had gotten great.
When this special director's cut edition of Behind the Music continues.
Okay.
Journey's first foray into mainstream rock ended when they dismissed new lead singer Robert Fleischman just months after he joined the group. So in the fall of '77, manager Herbie Herbert sorted through a stack of demo tapes given to him by a CBS exec, looking for a frontman to put Journey over the top. Finally, a familiar voice caught his ear.
The demo tape was phenomenal. The singer was great. And I said to him, you're going to tell me the singer is Steve Perry. This name's been coming in and out of my life from the beginning of time.
Herbie Herbert had crossed paths with Steve Perry dozens of times. After years of paying dues on the LA music scene, Steve finally hit a groove in 1977 with a band called Alien Project.
Okay.
But on the verge of signing a record deal, the group's bass player was killed in a car accident.
Oh,
and the band died
that's unfortunate.
with him.
I lost my faith in the whole concept, and I've been doing it for years. It seemed to me that every time I would get closer to something that looked like it was going to happen, it truly seemed like something as big had to come along to take it away.
Things got so bad that Perry finally abandoned hopes of fame for farm work, repairing turkey coops at a ranch in his hometown in Central California.
I was in one of those financially destitute times, and my stepdad was nice enough to give me an employment at the time, which was that turkey ranch. And, I hated it.
I said, well, why don't you come up to my house and let's talk about other possibilities. Like what? Like Journey. I can't afford to do that. I gotta pay my bills and everything else. I'll pick up your paycheck for a week.
Okay, that's enough motivation.
Before giving Herbie an answer, Steve sought the advice of his closest confidant, his mother Mary.
Okay.
Perry told his mom he felt he should leave music behind.
I've had it. I'm gonna do something else. She was amazing. She said, no, don't give up yet. You know, something will happen out of this. You don't know yet.
But Steve Perry wasn't the only one
clearly
who had
Steve
to be
was
convinced.
a
Herbie
mama's
on
boy.
Neil Schon and Greg Raleigh as well.
He played us the tape of Perry that he got from CBS.
She said, I want you to understand. I'm not up to someone new.
Neil and I both looked at each other and went, no. There's no way, man. I mean, this guy's crooning. We don't want this. We want somebody to scream.
They flat out didn't want to know from this guy.
Okay.
And I flat out told him, Steve Perry's going to be in this band. Get used to it.
Nice.
The next thing I know, I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I'm hanging out with Neil, just hanging out.
I had an acoustic guitar in there, and, you know, I just picked it up and I started playing, you know.
And wrote patiently, the two of us in that hotel room.
I definitely felt that we had great chemistry, you know, came out of nowhere within about 5 minutes. And it was done, except for a few lyrics, and he finished that in the next 10 minutes. And we just, there was a new song.
The way he played guitar, the sound of his guitar, and the heart behind his guitar, I just had a kinship with it that was deeper than I could explain.
That night, Neil's reservations melted away. With Patiently, he and Steve began a friendship, a partnership, and a sound that would make them famous.
Okay.
In October '77, Steve Perry joined Journey.
Wow, okay.
But it wasn't easy breaking into a band as tight as a brotherhood.
I could feel that they had definitely been together for a long time.
Okay.
And they had a nucleus between
Yeah,
them, that
true.
was strong.
He was so shy and he was so insecure. He was not a,
Anyway.
strutting, confident guy.
Most of the Journey men had been together for 5 solid years.
True.
A close-knit clan watched over and cared for by manager Herbie Herbert.
Okay.
Open my eyes to a new kind of way.
We were like a family. We were very much part of Herbie's family.
This is as parental as I'm going to probably get in this life. I mean, this
Wow.
is looking after, you are your brother's keeper. This is who I live with, and I'm giving them my onlyness, my totality.
If Herbie had a favorite son, it was guitarist Neil Schon.
Okay.
Having worked together since Neil was just 15 years
Yeah,
old,
true. That's
the two
true.
had established a strong bond.
True.
There always has been a connection between Herbie and I. And he just, watches me like, he's just enthralled in it all. I was playing for everyone, but if Herbie happened to be in the front, I'd look down there and I'd smile and I'd play some stuff for him,
Yeah,
I
know that feeling.
perform for Herbie. There were times where he was like another father figure, I think, for Neil.
Feeling that way.
Okay.
No one was sure what to expect as Journey entered the studio to work on their first record with Steve Perry. But led by Steve's soulful singing, the band quickly captured an infectious melodic groove.
When we cut those first basic tracks of the Infinity album, I think that everybody started feeling better and better and excited about it
Yeah.
because it started to come into its own.
I was just impressed with the vocal range
Mhm.
and the soulfulness
Yeah.
of what he was singing.
Steve was, tremendously talented, and I loved what he brought to the table at that point. And I saw the light. This is the new journey.
Their first album with Steve was a dramatic departure from the fusion feel of Journey's earlier work, and Infinity would instantly broaden the band's horizons.
So, I mean, eventually, after the whole ultimatum from the record label, Journey had to take a different route, right? Brought in a singer, but apparently, he didn't cut it for their fans, their core fans. They had to drop him after some months, and then the manager suggested they bring in a new guy, and then the other guy, forgotten, is this Greg Raleigh? They were not really enthusiastic about that idea, because all they knew was just playing their guitar, making those kind of jazz rocky type of sound, right? So bringing another guy, it wasn't gonna cut it. At the time, Steve was also trying to get into the music industry, joined this band, just when they could hit the limelight. One of their bandmates, the leader, dies in a car accident, and then all dreams of becoming a musician shattered. So he ended up working for his stepdad, minimum wage and stuff. Then the manager for Journey apparently has a good relationship with Steve. Brings him on board. Discusses the whole situation with the band. If Steve could be part. But like I said earlier, they were not really enthusiastic about it. But then the manager had to force it down their throats. Whether you like it or not, this guy is gonna join the band. So fast forward, Neil and then Steve develop this chemistry. They write the first song, and things started looking up after Steve Perry joined. Yeah, let's go.
Next, Steve Perry takes charge.
What he had brought to the band was all the success.
Okay.
So he had the ball, he was running with it, and we all let the reins go.
And later, Journey tries to sustain a wild ride.
Okay.
Hits made us, and now that we're made by a hit, we'll die if we don't have a hit.
When this special director's cut edition of Behind the Music continues.
Nice.
Steve Perry gave Journey new life when he joined the group in the fall
Yeah,
of '77.
true.
When the band released the album Infinity, both the song Wheel in the Sky and the follow-up single, Lights, landed on the charts.
Okay. Lights.
Lights kind of took off, and we just really toured to death. And the more that we got ourselves out there, the more label would go, oh yeah, okay, this is happening.
Journey was experiencing its first success on the radio and in record stores. And with his voice providing the band's new signature sound, Steve Perry's confidence blossomed.
There's just something in me that tells me that that's the one, and I listen to that. It's something I believe in. Whatever that is that resonates in me that says that that take is ready or that take is not quite there.
But Steve's growing influence soon put him at odds with longtime drummer Ainsley Dunbar.
Okay.
Especially when the group hit the stage for concerts.
He wanted somebody to sit back and play a nice beat while the vocals carried it, whereas I play more aggressively. And
Okay.
I like to push the band. I don't like to just play quietly in the background, let things happen around me.
By September of '78, tensions between Steve and Ainsley were at a boil. Faced with a stark choice, the band voted Ainsley out, leaving manager Herbie Herbert to deal with the first serious rift in his family.
I had to fire him. And
Wow.
so, that was really a rough one because I really loved Ainsley.
Journey soon moved on, recruiting Montrose drummer Steve Smith to replace Ainsley. And Steve quickly developed the signature Journey beat.
Okay. So wait, Steve didn't like the way the former drummer was playing, because I mean he wasn't feeling his vibe, and the drummer had to be fired. Wow, that's unfortunate.
I was really excited about it, and I had some mixed feelings because Ainsley was a friend, but you just go with the opportunities.
Yeah. Okay.
With Steve Smith on board, the group immediately began working on songs for the follow-up album to Infinity. At the time, Steve Perry wrote a song about a rocky romance that became fodder for a feel-good sing-along.
It had happened to me. The theme of the song. She was out with someone else and doing the deal. Wild thing. And I was monogamous to the relationship.
Reaching number 16 on the charts, Love and Touch and Squeeze It was the first single off of the album Evolution, released in July of 1979.
Nice.
By the end of the year, Journey's Joyride was shifting into high gear.
Okay.
I'll never forget the first time we played a stadium that really just rocked my world.
Yeah.
People knew who we were. It was really magic.
But with triumph came signs of increasing turmoil. As singer Steve Perry was emboldened to take command of Journey's jaunt to the top.
Things dramatically changed with the success of the band, and what he had brought to the band was all the success. I mean, a lot of it was attributed to The Voice, SNL on the radio. So the way I look at it, he had the ball, he was running with it, and we all let the reins go.
Yeah, true.
He thought he knew better about the songs, and he wanted to write them, and he was ambitious about it. He wanted to do it.
Okay.
I really put my nose in places that I think people probably would have rather me not, but I couldn't help it. I pushed and I believed in things I just...
You were ambitious, obviously.
Not everyone was happy with Steve's broadening influence.
Okay.
In July 1980, founding member Greg Raleigh dropped a bomb on the band. Tired of the road after a decade of rock and roll, Raleigh engineered his own exit soon after the release of the album Departure.
I wrestled with this because I must be crazy. Here we are, successful as you can be.
Yeah.
I did exactly what I
Why
said.
would you want to leave?
And I was not content. You
Are
could
you
have
serious?
paid me $1 million to stay out there and pack another suitcase.
And he said, I feel like this is so much the only family that I know. And I just want to have my own family.
Oh,
that I'm in
man.
control of. And I'm in part of this family, and you're in control of it. But he said, I don't know how much longer you'll be in control of it.
In fact, Steve Perry was quickly becoming the dominant force in Journey. And while he
Okay, of
brought
course.
sweat and soul to the group,
Yeah.
he didn't share Herbie's sense of family values.
I looked at it as an entity that just worked really hard, wrote great music, played great music, toured behind the good music, and worked together as people on those fronts. But when we got enmeshed in other people's lives, it was none of my business. If you didn't buy into the family concept that Herbie was really trying to portray with the band and himself, then I think what I was looked at was a defiant one.
Still, at first, Herbie was less concerned with Steve Perry than he was with finding a replacement for Greg Raleigh.
Okay.
I was completely consumed with the notion of how can I fill these shoes? It's such a huge part of the sound. And not only vocally and as a songwriter and a contributor that way, but and as with his looks and so forth.
Okay.
Journey soon snatched up Raleigh's replacement, Jonathan Cain, keyboardist of the Babies.
Oh,
Within
okay.
weeks, Cain was at Steve Perry's house, beginning a partnership
Wow.
that would produce solid gold.
He starts playing around, we're coming up with ideas and stuff, and all of a sudden he plays this beautiful melody.
It was in this key.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What's that? Come on. He says, well, it was an idea I put together and just started it out.
Cain had first toyed with the tune with Baby's frontman John Waite.
I had played the melody for John and basically ran it down for him, and he said to me, "Oh, that's sentimental.
Yeah.
Sentimental rubbish, really. I don't get that song."
That's too bad for John. Good for us.
Nice.
Because I don't think at all. I think it's great. So he really thinks so. I think we should really work on it.
Within hours, the two new partners had crafted a lilting love song that would make Journey musical megastars.
I just remember just sitting there going, "Oh, wait till the world hears this."
Next, a fan tugs at the heart of the band.
It's not fair, for kids to live with that kind of pain.
Oh, wow, it's crying.
I'm sorry.
And later, Steve Perry's Journey hits hard times.
I told him I just don't think I can do it anymore. I think I just want to stop.
When this special director's cut edition of Behind the Music continues. After 7 years, Journey finally had a signature song, a mellow masterpiece called Open Arms.
Okay.
Amazingly, the tune was crafted by Steve Perry and John Cain, one of the first times they ever met. Now came the hard part, convincing founder Neil Schon to embrace it.
Okay.
The quote that I remember from Neil was, "It sounds kind of Mary Poppins."
Mary Poppins.
That I didn't like the song when I heard it.
You didn't like
It was just
it.
so far removed from anything we had ever
Yeah.
attempted to record before.
Yeah. You see, I cannot blame Neil for not liking the song, from the beginning. First off, it's sentimental. It has that lovey, smooth, sentimental kind of touch. And that is not what he's used to. He's used to just coming, ripping, hard rock, ripping his guitar and, aggressive stuff. So for Steve to endorse that slow, sentimental song, it was hard for him, because he wanted to be, he didn't see himself, doing anything on that song. Neil wants to come in, do his solos, also put his signature in the song. Because he couldn't see himself in that song, he didn't like it, and you can't blame him. Yeah, that's just my take.
Just like, what am I gonna do on this?
Yeah, exactly what I was
In the
saying.
spring of '81, Journey began working on their next album, Escape. But in the studio, a taunting Neil Schon made recording Open Arms an ordeal for Steve.
Yeah, yeah.
Steve had a tough time. He'd see
Yeah,
Neil.
he
in
didn't
there
want
with,
he didn't want to go through that song.
He could see it through the glass. It was like, Neil, you can't be here.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
After the Escape album's release in the fall of '81, the band's fans got their chance to deliver their verdict.
Okay.
When Journey performed Open Arms in concert for the first time.
Ooh. Oh my God! Look. Okay.
The place went crazy.
Of course.
Just nuts. I looked over at Neil and he was stunned.
Of course.
I mean, I don't think he was smiling or anything. He was just kind of stunned.
When we were a jam band, it was mostly guys in the audience, and now our audience was 80% women.
Yeah.
They love the ballads.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I noticed the
of
big
course.
difference when I looked out there.
Of course, they would
Which was
definitely
very
love it.
pleasing on the eyes. I have to admit.
We do 2 encores, we go backstage. I'm walking back there. All of a sudden, Neil's going, man, that song really kicked ass.
Of course.
And I looked at him and I wanted to kill him.
Of course. More like I told you,
Held
you
by
know.
Open Arms, Escape let loose 3 top 10 hits, eventually selling over 8 million copies.
That's a lot.
Like it or not, Journey had laid out a roadmap to success.
They said, you know what? We're going to write songs about people's lives.
Okay.
About what's on their
That's a good route to
just
take.
a small town girl.
Yeah, songs that people can actually relate to. Nice.
Journey built elaborate stages to showcase their sound, pioneering the use of big screen TVs and computerized lighting at concerts.
Okay. So I had one of my subscribers actually, you know, tell me this fun fact. I mean, back in the day, they used to fill up stadiums, and people, you know, from the back couldn't really see them, and you know, so she said, Steve had to push for these computerized screens, you know, to be mounted so that the fans who are at the back, you know, could also see them and relate to them whilst they perform. Yeah, this is like a fun fact.
Fans ate it up, but to critics, the band had sold their souls for success.
The thing that we were the most branded by was the word corporate rock.
I hated it. I hated it.
Yeah.
I thought it came from jealousy and envy and having good business sense.
As far as I'm concerned, we probably, you know, were guilty of everything that the critics had to say as far as trying to write hit songs and being aware of the business. But personally, I see really nothing wrong with that.
They were one of the first bands to make it that big, to start selling out arenas 3, 4, 5 nights in one city. And so that was kind of unusual to have that big of an audience.
Yeah.
And so I think that
Yeah.
seemed very corporate.
I totally
and commercial.
agree.
I make no bones about it. I'm an unabashed capitalist. My job was to make maximum dollars for my artists and net dollars.
It's a song about being strong inside. You know what I'm talking about in here?
By 1983, Journey was big business, and business was booming.
Yeah.
In February, they released the album Frontiers, which was headlined by a song called Faithfully. Destined to become another heart-rending hit, the tune had been written by Jonathan Cain in the midst of a lengthy tour.
I had a little Casio keyboard, one of these $30 jobbies, you know, and it was sitting on my bed, and so I started, you know, and I didn't even know what it was going to sound like. I had written the lyrics, you know.
Highway run into the midnight sun. Wheels go round and round my mind.
Wouldn't it be neat if Journey sang a song about everybody feeling the same feeling? Missing your family, missing your loved ones, missing your house. I just felt like I had created something, you know, quietly special, and that was going to mean something someday.
Yeah.
They say that the road ain't no place to start a family. Right down the line, it's been you and me.
Journey invented the power ballad. I think they were the ones that made it safe for you know, burly macho rock guys to sing slow love songs.
Yeah.
The The song became yet another top 20 hit, one of 8 that had been scored since Steve Perry joined Journey. But with each smash, the group felt more pressure to sustain their stunning success.
Okay.
Hits made us, and now that we're made by a hit, we'll die if we don't have a hit. And once you have one of those, you're hopelessly addicted to a pattern of having hit records.
Yeah, true.
It's the most magical thing to ever happen, but it comes with a price. And the price had gotten great. I was isolating. People knew me everywhere I was going.
Of course.
It was scary at times.
As the crowds grew larger, Steve Perry grew more reclusive, leaving even his bandmates feeling shut out.
Even after we wrote all these things together, I still had moments of, why are you being so distant? You know?
Yeah.
There were many times in which I would engage in a conversation with him, and in the middle of a sentence, he would just sort of tune out and walk away and start talking.
Whoa,
to
that's
somebody
rude.
else, and I'm going,
That is rude. If Steve was doing that, then that was rude. That
It
was
was very happy times, man, and it was like times that were just like, we wanted to kill each other.
Then Steve became increasingly estranged as his long romance with girlfriend Sherry Swafford grew troubled.
The relationship, at best, was difficult because of the pull of my career aspirations.
Steve attempted to save his relationship with Sherry by bringing her on the road.
Yeah.
But by traveling separately in a motorhome, Perry drove a wedge between himself and the band.
I mean, obviously Steve was in a relationship, and at that time Journey was hot, was popping. Shows and tours. Obviously, you would not have time to do relationships. You feel me? So, and women want attention. So if you're not giving it to them, definitely, she's gonna get, shut out. And from what I'm getting, Steve really loved this Sherry girl, right? So, in order to save his relationship, he took her on tour with him, and even with we normal guys, when we are with our friends and our girlfriend happens to be around, like all your attention is with her. You feel me? You are trying to make sure she's okay, she's fine. Are you okay? You hardly pay attention to what the guys are saying. So I get what's happening here. The more Steve tries to give his girlfriend or show her love and attention or whatever, the more distant he becomes from his other bandmates. I mean, they also need you. Sorry about that. They also need you. At some point. Yeah. And I feel like Steve should have been able to draw the line between business and then pleasure. Business and then relationships. You feel me? Yeah.
The joke was, Elvis has left the building. We'd get off stage, he'd take off in his car, and he'd be gone, and we'd be sitting around, and we'd meet the fans.
That's bad. That's bad. That's bad. Because at the end of the day, Journey was there before you came. You came in, and then like you are the frontman of the band. Like all the fans look up to you. So after a show, it's only right for you to stick around. So you guys, answer question, interviews and stuff. So if after a show and then you just walk away, it doesn't show that united front that a band is supposed to put in front of their fans, in front of their audience. If I am to say I love Steve and all, but that move was him being selfish. He didn't really take into consideration how his other bandmates were going to feel, because eventually you guys are family. You've been together for years, playing shows and making music together. So it's only right for me to say that you guys are family. So for you to shun them like that because of a woman, that's bad.
It was awful. And we were, you know, flying around without him. It was weird.
I really believe the band saw the relationship I was having at the time and my desire to spin off with that motor coach and have some time to ourselves as a threat.
No, threats? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Threats? You know, definitely they're happy for you. They want you to be in love. They want you to build a relationship. You know, if you say they saw it as a threat, you know, that is more like, you know, on the bad side. You understand? You are part of a band. Obviously, you have to stick around for interviews, you know, for stuff. Promote yourselves. But if you shun them and, you know, come on, man. Like, I'm not really...
But Steve Perry's distance wasn't the only thing gnawing at the fabric of the group.
Okay.
By early '84, Neil Schon had recorded 2 albums outside of Journey, including one with
Schon
jazz
and Hammer.
impresario Jan Hammer. One of Neil's solo songs, No More Lies, became a modest hit.
Wow, Neil can sing?
Journey even featured Neil playing the tune during the Frontiers tour.
It was just something that I wanted to do artistically.
Yeah.
Steve seemed more perturbed than anybody to me about it.
I had asked that he not do any solo albums because I was telling the manager that it would only entice me to want to do one.
Kirby says he understood Steve Perry's concerns. He too felt that Neil should never have pursued the solo work.
Yeah.
I said, when Steve Perry ever decides to do this, it's going to be mainstream, and you will rue the day you ever satisfied these little desires. Well, it's like you're with the wife, but you're lusting after others.
Yeah.
And, you know, and monogamy is not a hardwood in Brazil. You know, this is Journey, this is your wife, and you have to be loyal.
Yeah.
In the end, Neil's solo albums pushed Steve to pursue his own interests.
He'd done 2, so after the Frontiers tour, I went to LA and did mine.
In the summer of '84, Perry released Street Talk.
Oh,
the first
man.
single was Oh
Okay.
Sherry, a song and a video that starred Steve's girlfriend, Sherry Swafford. Within weeks, the song hit number 3 on the charts. The smash single solidified Perry as a force outside of the band. But to Neil Schon, the song sounded just like a Journey tune.
Yeah.
And now it was his turn to feel betrayed.
I was not making commercial records anyway. I was not making anything to even put next to Journey and say, well, it's trying to do the same thing over here, and it was someone different.
Yeah.
It was completely something other.
Just as tensions were reaching an all-time high, the band was touched by a heart-wrenching encounter with a devoted fan. In October '84, the mother of 16-year-old Kenny Sokolic wrote to the group on her son's behalf.
Okay.
Kenny was losing his battle with cystic fibrosis, and his last wish was to meet his idols.
Oh.
Journey immediately flew to his bedside in
Wow.
a Cleveland hospital.
Here's this little kid.
That was very thoughtful.
Just struggling for every breath he could. And we were doing everything in our power not to break down and bawl, you know, in front of him.
The band brought a Walkman loaded with a demo of a new song, Only the Young. Kenny was the first person outside the band to hear what would become a top 10 hit.
Okay.
And I played it for him. And that was rough. That was really rough because he was in heaven. You know, he really was in heaven.
Still to this day, I can always see his face, you know.
Wow.
And I can see his pleasure of hearing that song. I mean, he just melted into his bed. And that song will always be his song.
Wow.
Less than a day after meeting his heroes, Kenny passed away.
Oh,
but in
man.
the space of a few hours, he left an impression that would last a lifetime.
That's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Oh, it's getting emotional here. Oh man,
It's not fair.
it's gonna.
You know, for kids.
Oh
Dealing
man.
with that kind of pain, it's just not fair. I'm sorry.
changed my outlook in life. It makes you realize that the things that you were making a big deal out of maybe were not so big.
True.
Next, Journey's Fab Five fracture apart.
It was very painful, and I took it pretty hard because, you know, I really pride myself in my musicianship.
And later, a journeyman hits a dead end.
I had to cut bait in order to relieve a federal tax debt. By 1990, I had to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
It's just
When the special director's cut edition of Behind the Music continues.
they call a letter in before I begin. Let's start.
In the fall of 1984, Steve Perry's solo album, Street Talk, was roaring out of radios from coast to coast. But just as Foolish Heart became the record's second top 20 hit, Steve received devastating news. His mother was stricken with a rare neurological disorder.
His number one fan.
It was a slow thing, and it was
This is
painful
gonna hit
because
him
I'd
hard.
watched
It's
her
gonna hit him real hard.
life kind of be slowly robbed from her.
Steve's mother, Mary, had been the one who convinced him to give Journey a try to begin with. And now, with her time so close to an end, Perry again questioned the direction of his own life.
I really didn't want to do another Journey record, to be honest with you, because she was so sick.
Really?
I kind of wanted to stay with her.
Okay.
Once again, Mary convinced her son to join Journey. But after his solo success, Steve Perry was more determined than ever to control the band's direction.
Journey needed to take a musical direction, take a few chances, and do some different material. It wasn't my solo material, and it wasn't Journey's old material. It was kind of its own stuff.
The band began experimenting with the latest in recording technology, hoping to produce innovative rhythms and beats.
We got studio and we started creating like that with drum machines and stuff, you know. That was the age of the drum machine. Bad idea. If you're a band, be a band, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of keeping Journey on the cutting edge, the sessions only worsened the widening gash within the group.
I didn't feel like the band was unified as it had been for years before.
Yeah.
Everybody just seemed to be pulling apart.
True.
There was so much struggle. And it was pretty painful.
I felt pretty excluded at that point, you know, from the band. We weren't sitting in a room and playing together like we were used to doing. And, you know, they were working with a drum machine, which I completely just did not get at all.
Yeah.
It was kind of threatening. I take
Of course,
pride
you
in
lose
the
your job.
drum parts that I come up with and what I have to offer in the evolution of the song itself. So I didn't have that, you know, place anymore.
Yeah.
Tensions came to a head in the spring of '85. As Journey began recording a new album, drummer Steve Smith and bassist Ross Valerie say they were expected to mimic machine-driven beats. But Steve Perry says that after several sessions, the band wasn't capturing the sound he was looking for.
Whoa.
So with the agreement of Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain, two longtime Journey members were fired.
Are you serious?
It came to us at the meeting that he hates Ross Valerie and Steve Smith. It's like, wait a minute, what did I do?
What did I do?
That was very painful, and I took it pretty hard. Because, you know, I really pride myself in my musicianship, and so that was very difficult.
Look, I don't get it. You know, I mean, yeah, we know you are the front man of the band, you know, the voice. All the fans look up to you and all that, you know, but I mean, you didn't have a problem with, you know, these bandmates of yours then, years back, you know, fine. I mean, with time, we will have to change every once in a while, but not at the expense of two bandmates getting fired just because you are not getting the sound that you are looking for. Like, it's just, honestly, like I said, I love Steve Perry and all, but if he really did that, that was a bit selfish of him to do. Like, how?
For me to deal with.
Okay. So I'm guessing that's when Randy Jackson joined the
Journey
band.
moved on as a trio, backed by studio musicians.
It was Steve's baby, so he was in charge. He picked the musicians, the
No.
songs. He didn't have to be democratic.
Having had those circumstances in front of me today, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
I was one of those
That's what I call
situations where
regrets.
music just dictated again, and
No.
I had to have it.
No.
The band
No.
may have been pared down, but Perry's vocals and Neil Sean's guitar licks were as potent as ever.
I think Steve was too ambitious. Like, you know, he didn't care who got cut off as long as his way is achieved. And like I said, that's very selfish.
Released in early '86, Raised on Radio quickly gave birth to 4 more top 10 tunes, including the smash Be Good to Yourself. But hits were no longer bringing happiness to Steve Perry.
Of course.
He'd broken up with girlfriend Sherry Swafford. Then he got word his mother was nearing the end. Steve rushed to her bedside.
I told her that if she wanted to go, it was okay because she'd been shackled by her body for years.
Yeah, true.
And I just kept saying that and stroking her forehead, and she passed.
Mary died as Steve held her in his arms. For all of his fame, Steve suddenly felt very alone.
I felt like I re-entered the Earth's atmosphere without heat tiles on my face. I was burning on the way in, okay? It was very, very uncomfortable because I realized how much fame had sustained me and how it was something that can't float my boat solely. I can't make it the only thing that makes me feel okay.
Okay.
Just
In the spring of 1987, Perry called a meeting with Neil Sean and John Keane at an isolated spot in Northern California.
John and I were hoping to continue the Raised on Radio tour, and Steve just basically shut down. He says, look, I'm toast.
I truly was toast. We had not stopped for years. I told him I just don't think I can do it anymore. I think I just want to stop.
We were kind of...
Okay, I mean, Steve lost a girlfriend, they broke up, lost the mom, who happens to be, his #1 fan, obviously it was the mom that actually pushed him to actually join Journey, pushed him to not quit music, at the time when Steve wanted to quit, so, and like I said, he's a mommy's boy, so definitely the mother is definitely dear to his heart. Okay, you've lost her. We get it, right after an album was released. Okay, we give you a break. Mourn your mom, take some time to yourself, but then you come back and you tell us you want out, you're toast, like you can't do it anymore. Like, that is not your decision to make. Fine, you can ask for more time. I feel like at the time, Steve realized, without him, there is no Journey, which to some point is true. Right? And he capitalized on that, strong armed his bandmates and then left the band, thinking once he leaves the band, they can no longer make music and whatever. Like, that is very selfish, honestly. I'm sorry to my Steve Perry fans on here, but like, it is what it is. That's just my take. If Steve put his bandmates through that is very, very selfish of him.
Confused and hurt. We thought we were a family, and it was like heavy.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah, you will be hurt.
There was no announcement, no press release,
Nothing.
no farewell concert. At the top of their game, Journey simply disappeared.
That
leaving
is,
fans to
man.
wonder where they'd gone.
No.
People wanted an easy answer to
No.
a question that was hard, and there was no easy answer
No.
for it.
And so
That's
you
bad.
either wanted to know, yes, they're broken up, or no, they're working
Yeah.
on an album. And it was somewhere in between.
It was the first time really in my life that I can recall since I was 15 touring where I wasn't touring anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah. Because that is all you know.
Next, Journey rediscovers the joy.
We sat around the piano, Neil and I, and we wrote 12 songs, you know, like in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And a Steve Perry comeback is cut short.
All of a sudden, I started having acute pain in my left side, and I didn't think I was going to make it off the mountain.
When the special director's cut edition of Behind the Music continues. In the aftermath of Journey's sudden disappearance in the spring of '87, there was stunned silence. Steve Perry and his former bandmates barely spoke for several years.
But that was a rough time. We didn't hear from Steve, so that was kind of a weird one.
John Cale and Neil Schon decided to move on together. In the summer of '87, they formed the group Bad English with former Babies frontman John
Oh,
Waite.
okay. Wow.
The group quickly scored a chart-topping single with When I See You Smile.
Wow.
For all their success, Journey had never had a #1 hit. But now Steve Perry wasn't even tempted to try for one.
I just let go of the music business. I didn't do nothing. I was really pretty tired. And I had to retreat back to my life because my life had been sort of put on hold.
Oh, man.
While Steve Perry withdrew and some of his former bandmates recorded hits, Ross Valerie found himself in deep trouble. Without a steady gig and with a string of bad investments, Journey's longtime bassist hit the financial skids.
By 1989, the problem was so severe that I had to sell my ancestral home that I bought from my parents, the home in which I'd grown up in. By 1990, I had to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Whoa. That's bad.
As Ross struggled to stay afloat, drummer Steve Smith started over, reinventing himself by playing with jazz groups like Steps Ahead.
The way that I see it now, in the big picture, the whole period with Journey, I was still very much in my musical apprenticeship period and really developing my skills as a musician.
As for Steve Perry, it took 7 long years until he finally got back in the game.
Whoa.
In August of '94, he released his second solo album, For the Love of Strange Medicine. But none of the music from Steve Perry or his former bandmates held the enduring magic of Journey. So in the summer of '95,
Yeah.
Steve reached out to a strange friend, Jonathan Cain.
Any way you want it, it's the way you need it. Any way you want it.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what does he want to talk to me about? So I haven't seen this guy and heard from him for eons.
I said, let's get together. I want to talk to you about something. It had been many years, but got this yearning to be in Journey again.
But a reunion was not without conditions. Perry wanted to jettison longtime Journey manager Herbie Herbert.
I think that Herbie and I are similar in a lot of areas. I think he likes to feel that he has as much autonomy to decide things that impact his life.
Okay. Control
and I
freak.
think I do too.
Yeah.
And more so maybe than the rest of the members.
Somebody had made the call, so I made the call to Herbie, and I hated it. I hated myself because I wasn't really, it wasn't something that I believed in wholeheartedly. I laid it out, said, I want you to let us go on, and I'm sorry about it.
Herbie agreed to step aside.
So that was my final
Whoa.
act of love. And I told him that, too. I said, this is it. This is probably the last thing I can do for you guys.
Replacing Herbie was record industry heavyweight Irving Azoff, the man who'd engineered the Eagles' career and comeback.
I really felt that Journey was a unique, missed opportunity, and one that there were a legion of fans out there desperate to participate in again.
With Azoff at the helm, Steve Smith and Ross Valerie were asked to return to the group. Both faced a difficult decision.
And I felt like there was an upside as a healing experience to reconnect with everyone. But I also had a good career going as a session musician, and my own band Vital Information was touring.
Okay.
And so there was a downside to me leaving that.
Even though I had certain hesitations, understandably, about coming back to the band, I was ready for it, getting back on my feet.
Yeah, of course, yeah, true.
I had not achieved anything since being in Journey at the same significance, the same stature.
Eventually, both Ross and Steve Smith returned, and as they began working on the album Trial by Fire, Journey quickly reignited the magic that had made them megastars.
We sat around the piano, Neil and I and Steve, and we wrote 12 songs.
Whoa.
You know, like in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, okay.
It was Journey's first new album in 10 years, but the verdict on Trial by Fire was immediate. Released in November of '96, it shot to number 3 on the charts in its first week of release.
Woo.
The song When You Love a Woman also garnered Journey its first ever Grammy nomination.
After being gone, we came back with a song that was nominated for a Grammy. You don't know what that meant.
Yeah.
It meant so much.
Man.
It meant that it was not going to be a hack thing.
Plans were set for the band to tour together for the first time in nearly a decade. Steve Perry went to Hawaii to get in shape for the Rock and Roll Marathon.
Okay.
But soon after he arrived, a hike in the mountains turned into a hellish experience.
I don't know what happened that day. All of a sudden, I started having acute pain in my left side, and I didn't think I was going to make it off the mountain.
He phoned me and said, I went out and did my first hike. I've never been in this much pain in my life. I've hurt my hip. I don't know what to do. I may have to come home.
Steve says as soon as he could physically handle flying, he headed back to Los Angeles.
I came back immediately and started a series of doctors, to check out what is going on, because I was never in this kind of pain.
Steve was diagnosed with a degenerative bone disease and told he might need hip replacement surgery.
Whoa.
With the lead singer sidelined,
That's
Journey's
serious.
comeback was suddenly very much in limbo.
No.
We weren't able to do the things that needed to be done, the television shows, the videos, the interviews, the traveling around, the touring.
Oh.
We can't do a single thing.
Yeah.
We're just stuck.
Yeah.
So the record just kind of fades away.
Yeah.
Irving Azoff says he was desperate for Steve to do anything to promote the album, but Steve told him he wasn't up to it.
I can't do the promo work for the album because the camera will see my pain. The microphone will feel my pain.
I was faced with, do I take care of myself and do things as I possibly can, or do I just throw myself in a situation and do it even if I'm not ready to do it?
Man, that's
just
unfortunate.
To go on tour.
That is unfortunate. Oh, okay.
Finally, in early December '96, Steve consented to shooting a video for When You Love a Woman, but he says the pain nearly incapacitated him.
And between takes, I would literally, with a cane, hobble over to a little private room where we would pack the front and the back side of my left side with ice, and I'd wait for them for the next camera shot to be set up, then go out there and do it.
Steve says
He was really in
wanted to
pain
avoid a
then.
major operation if at all possible. But as months went by, the band consensus was that Steve should either get the surgery or get on the road.
It was frustrating, and I was definitely sympathetic to what Steve was going through, but it was also, frustrating to be put on hold like
Yeah.
that and have my life be so controlled by an external source, you know,
Yeah, true.
by another person.
True.
The bottom line
True.
is that major surgery is a personal decision. It's not a group decision. And it was as if it was taken as a group decision.
Finally, in January '98, after 13 months of waiting for Journey to continue, Neil and Jonathan made one of the hardest decisions of their lives.
Man, they're going to cut him
I
off.
look at Neil and I can see this guy that wants his band back really bad.
Yeah.
We looked at each other and said, you know what? We want to reform this. We want to get a couple guys that want to work, and we'll reform it, and we'll move on.
John Cannon got the job of informing Steve Perry.
I said, we're going to do this. Know that. I'm not going to do it behind your back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hear about it, it's true. We are looking for singers.
Yeah.
Steve pleaded with his bandmates to reconsider.
I says, you know, don't fracture the name Journey. Don't crack the stone. Go out and do whatever you want to with whomever you want to and call it whatever you want to, but leave Journey alone.
Man.
But Neil and Jonathan believed there had been a Journey before Steve Perry, and there could be one after him. Still, they quickly discovered that Perry wasn't the only one at the end of his journey with the band. Steve Smith was ready to move on too.
Yeah.
Jonathan called me.
Yeah.
And told me that they had been listening to singers, different singers, and wanted to know if I was into getting together and rehearsing.
Of course.
And I gave
You
them
need
an
to
answer
make a
over the
living.
phone that I just was not interested in doing that.
If Journey was to continue, it would have to take on a dramatically different look.
Yeah.
Next, filling the shoes of a legend.
And the same reaction is every time. They're like,
Whoa. Okay.
mouth drop.
So it's unfortunate. I mean, after Steve released his solo album, I mean, he didn't really do so well. You know, then he, you know, after some time, he wants to come back to the group. You know, which everyone was ecstatic about. You know, at the time, the drummer was going through some financial stuff. So I mean, he needs to make some money, you know, to get himself out of the bankruptcy. You know, that was when Trial by Fire, you know, album was made. You know, just when the album was made, it came out. You know, they wanted to tour. You know, Steve goes to Miami, wants to get himself prepared for the tour, and then, you know, he had his hip. You know, for some reason he was in, you know, pain to the point where he had to even subject himself to coming to the shoot that when you love a woman, when you love a woman video. You know, he was in pain but had to endure to shoot that video, which, you know, I think was very good of him. You know, but I mean, you are the lead singer, and to some point he's the one controlling the band, because the band, everybody is ready. You know, if their lead singer is not around, there is no tour. You know, they can't make money, they can't promote the album, so eventually the album would just die down. So Jonathan and then Neil eventually had to make one of the toughest decisions. You know, they have to replace him, because I mean, people have to eat. You get it? You know, I think this was something they never thought they could do, but it is either that or the band just dies down. You know, sometimes you have to make difficult decisions. Yeah.
Eyes wide open, like, oh my God, listen to this guy. It's Steve Perry with a perm.
Okay, it's a replacement.
When this special director's cut edition of Behind the Music continues. In January 1998, Steve Perry and Journey once again went their separate ways.
Whoa, okay. For the second time.
But Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain soon found that replacing the fantastic frontman was not so easy.
Yeah.
Tried guys.
Yeah.
They sound pretty good, but they're not quite what we're looking for.
Yeah, true.
So my wife, Liz, has a CD from the 90s called Tall Stories. And she puts it on one day and says, remember this guy? Steve Algeri? He sings this song, Wild on the Run. I'm like, oh yeah, he's great.
The problem was no one knew how to find Tall Stories frontman Steve Algeri. The group had been defunct for years, and as it turned out, Algeri had given up the music business for a more anonymous but stable career.
Okay. Fashion?
I've been going on just about a year working with the Gap. I'm going to get a pension plan, and I'm going to get a raise, and I'm so happy. You know, I'm really starting to feel settled down in my life.
Through friends of friends, Neil and John tracked Algeri down at his home in Brooklyn, New York. The next step was convincing him they were serious.
I called him and I said, hi, this is Neil Sean. I'd like to, you know, we're thinking about putting a band back together. I'd like to have you come out and do an audition.
I just, yes, Neil, yes, sure, yeah, sure.
And I'm like, no, honest to God, this is Neil Sean, and I want you to come out. And he continues to start swearing at me.
So I follow up an hour later, I call him, Jonathan Cain. Oh my God, now he's like, all right, you guys are for real.
So in the summer of '98, the band began a new leg of their journey without Steve Perry.
Okay.
A new album, Arrival, was released in 2001. The first was Steve Algeri at the mic. The new frontman faced the challenge of trying to replace an unforgettable voice.
Yeah.
Steve will always remain in the fans' hearts as
True.
being someone very special.
Yeah.
Who sang very special songs to them. So my approach is to see if we can go forward.
You're like, just wait until he sings the first line of Separate Ways, and the same reaction is every time. They're like,
okay.
mouth drops, eyes wide open, like, oh my God, listen to this guy. It's Steve Perry with a perm.
As for Steve Perry, he has remained silent, but he has fully recovered from hip replacement surgery he underwent after splitting from the band.
Oh, man.
And insists he will be heard from again.
Right now, I think about touring a lot. In fact, I've been talking about it.
It's been several years since Steve Perry left Journey. But as with any family, some emotions and feelings are still hard to let go.
I never really felt like I was part of the band. I
Are you serious?
That's difficult to see or even difficult to say, but I really always felt that I was the outside.
How the hell would you feel like?
Don't know how to relate to that.
I have no idea why he would feel that way.
Yeah.
What can I say to you? It's just nuts. Never felt part of it.
Yeah. What do you mean?
He was making, you know, a lot of the decisions and doing basically whatever he wanted to do. So I don't know how you can not feel a part of something that you're almost completely controlling.
If anything, it was pro Steve. It was pretty much he had the reins. So here's the guy with the reins saying, I'm a member of the band. What's up with that? Somebody tell me.
They had a nucleus between them, you know, that was strong. And so here I was, the guy, you know, on the outside, on the inside.
Despite the pain of Steve Perry's departure, there is still plenty of pride in the legacy of the band. In the hearts of millions of fans, the music will always be a joyous journey.
As crazy as it got, as insane as it got, it was magic. And no one will be able to take away what was accomplished with this band.
Okay, guys, so this was the documentary behind the music journey. Yeah, director's cut. Honestly, I have a lot to say, but I mean, this video is already like an hour long, so I don't want to talk too much. But I'm gonna start with the fact that I'm happy. You know, I got the chance to watch this documentary. Honestly, I didn't think there was even a documentary, you know, to the band journey, right? And I mean, when I started this channel, I started posting video reactions on Journey. You know, I had diehard fans of Journey, you know, giving me bits and pieces of, you know, the stories. You know, okay, this is why this happened. This is why this happened. You know, and after watching this video, I have put the whole pieces together, and it's making sense. You know. Journey is a great band, you know, by all standards, and I feel they could have gone, you know, very far. You know, even till date, they are still Journey. You know, it's just without Steve. You know, their current singer is this Filipino guy. Pineda or something. Arnel Pineda, you know, and I mean they still make music, but you know a lot of fans don't really listen to the new Journey songs. You know, they'd rather, you know, stick to the old Journey with Steve Perry. I feel like you know, Steve came in to the band, he changed the whole dimension of the band, and you know, like they were worldwide. You know, but I feel like at some point he started getting selfish. You know, he felt like, okay, he's the one making, yeah, which is true. You know, but you have to understand that you are dealing with other bandmates. You know, so whatever decision you make, whatever selfish decision you make, sort of affects them. I mean, yeah, we know you lost your girlfriend, you lost your mom. Yes, I mean, we'll definitely mourn with you, but at some point you're gonna have to come back. We just released an album, we have to tour, we have to promote, we have to make this money. But hey, you just go do your own solo projects, come back, okay. You know, everybody was excited he came back, you know, because definitely we're gonna, you know, recapture that magic we made years back, you know. Yeah, when he came back for the second time, I think he genuinely wanted to stay, you know, because I mean he had missed the tours, you know, the music, the thrills, the brotherhood, the family, you know. So I feel like he wanted to stay. After Trial by Fire was released, he was really ready to go on tour until the hip thing happened, you know. But I mean, after the doctor's diagnosis, you need to have the surgery. I heard him say, okay, it's a personal decision. Yes, it's a personal decision, but at the end of the day, you are with your bandmates. You are like a family. Once you make that decision, definitely at some point I feel like they also have a take in that decision, because definitely it's going to affect the band, you know. So I mean, in the long run, they give you an ultimatum, and I mean, Steve, from, you know, what I saw from his little, you know, footages, like with the interviews and stuff, I'm sorry to say he kind of has a little bit of pride. Yeah, that's just what what he says should stand, you know. And to some point, he's more like a control freak. You know, he always wants to control everything. And yes, the band gave you all the room to make those changes. I mean, they have to fire a bunch of people just to make you happy. You know, so if they've done all that and then, you know, you have to wait till they give you an ultimatum for you to leave the band before you go and do your surgery, that is him not being fair to the band, honestly. And I'm very glad at least he he recognized the fact that if he could go back in time, there were certain decisions he wouldn't have made, which means he regrets, but I mean it's far gone. I mean, like, there's a lot I can say, but I feel like Journey could have gone far, if they handle certain decisions well. But hey, yeah, it's still a great band, and I'm glad I actually checked out this documentary. It gave me clarity on a lot of things, and I want to say, send a special shout out to all my subscribers on here, my Journey subscribers, for suggesting I check out this video reaction. I know it's long, but I'm praying you guys bear with me, watch it to the end, and at least see my reaction and my take on everything that happened to Journey, from their rise to their fall. Yeah, so like and subscribe if you're new on here, and until the next music reaction, peace out.